What's crack-a-lackin', geeks? UTC here, back in yo life with some book club. That's right, I introduced this idea last month, and I understand a book club is something that could easily be made fun of. Not something people take all too seriously, but I made a pact to myself really recently to read a book a month. It's not something I did last year. I'm not sure if I came anywhere close to 12 books last year, but I definitely didn't have a regimen, and I want one now. And the reason I do is there's a lot of stuff out there that I think can make me better as a creator, as a YouTuber, as a streamer, whatever you want to call me. And if you guys out there are blogging or doing what I do, I think it'll help you too. So I'd love if you would join in, read along with the books with me, join in the comments, maybe even suggest books. Now I should say, guys, I think I was a little optimistic. Last month when I introduced the concept of book clubs, I kind of assigned 2 books, and one of them isn't the easiest read in the world. Not to mention, I'm moving this month. I have a crazy month, so if I can make the work a little easier on myself, I will. So I'm just going to pick one of those books, and we'll save the other one for next month. So this month we are going to be doing Self Reliance. I introduced it last month, and I understand it probably seems a bit knobby, maybe, for me to suggest Ralph Waldo Emerson as a first read. It looks daunting at first, and it isn't the easiest read. My version is 73 pages, and it has big highlighted sections with all the key phrases and paragraphs, and it's still not the easiest read in the world. So I understand that, guys. We'll take this one out, and next month we will be talking about Do the Work. I've already talked about it, and I will kind of revisit it at the end, but let's get into Self-Reliance. This is the first time I've really done one of these, breaking down a book, guys. I'm not sure how editing this video is going to go, so if this turns out long or feels at all disjointed, I apologize. It's an experiment. Alright, guys, there is a great sort of quote at the beginning of my book from Jesse Dillon, and he says, I've reread Self-Reliance a few times a year. It's always on my bedside table. I've done it for many years. Emerson's clear and true words ring like a bell. It helps keep me on track. He goes on and talks more about it, but I kind of feel the same way. I don't know how it took me to the age of 31 to read this book. I wish I'd picked it up at 15 and, like he says, read it once a year until now. And I think going forward I probably will. This book, it's kind of about how to be a man, and that might sound outdated, but remember, he's writing in a time when America, the United States, is transitioning from like its frontier lifestyle to a more modern city lifestyle, and he was worried that men were forgetting how to be self-reliant. Now today, men and women alike can apply the knowledge from this book, and I swear to God, there's a lot of it. Every damn page contains a nugget, and a nugget that I think I need to reread once a year. And the main point, and the things I'm going to stick to, guys, talks about how to be your true self, your authentic self. Be who you are. Stop copying other people. Stop listening to the chatter in the back of your mind, and be who you are. And that's the reason that I chose it for this book club. If you are a YouTuber like me, our generation spots fake in a split second. It weirds us out when people are acting, pretending to be something they're not. So it's really important for me, if I want to be a big success at this, to be myself. All the best people are. They have weird, kooky personalities, and trying to be like anyone else is never going to work for you. It's something Emerson talks a lot about. There is a fable. I don't think it's one invented by Emerson, but one that he talks about in the book. I think it's probably an old folk tale. But it talks about how a guy, drunk and poor, passes out in the street, right? He gets picked up by a duke's household. The duke is a member of the royalty, and his household goes and picks the man up, cleans him up, gives him a bath, sobers him up, dresses him in all the duke's nice clothes, and lets him sleep in the duke's bed. And when he wakes up in the morning, they told him, "No, you've gone crazy. You are the duke. You were never a drunk loser." And from then on, guess what? The guy kind of is the duke. He believes it, and so it's true. There's all kinds of quotes in my version of the book from other people. There's one from Henry Ford that says something like, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." And that's kind of the essence of this. So when it comes to me doing YouTube, if I want to be a big success, if I want this to be my job someday, I can't go around pretending this is my hobby. I need to live and act like I've already made it. And that's the only way that I'm really going to get there. Because if I don't believe that I can get to hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of subscribers, how am I ever going to get there? The reason we are always going back to read classics, to read writers of old, guys that wrote their books centuries ago, is because when someone boils something down to an essential truth, trying to restate it any other way is just unnecessary, and I think this is one of those. He writes, "Envy is ignorance, imitation is suicide." And for me, looking at that, and goddamn, I know this sounds snobby, but looking at that, I think, yeah, me wanting what another YouTuber has, it's not knowing the truth. I don't know what they have. I think I know. And me imitating them is never going to work for me. It'll end things so quick. If I start bro-fisting people or high fives all round, that's not me. That's somebody else, and it's never going to work for me. This book also talks about work ethic. If you believe in something, like I believe in my YouTube channel, you need to work. You can't just believe. The book talks about what you must do, putting your heart into your work, and doing your best. And it talks about the benefits of doing that. It means that suddenly you'll start to recognize the other people who are doing what you do, who are working their butts off to make a dream come true, right? And you begin to look at each other like a brotherhood. And I could talk to another YouTuber. If I see that they're putting out as much or more content than me, if they're clearly working hard, if they're clearly loving what they do, it doesn't matter if I've never met that person in my life. I will recognize them as sort of a member of a brotherhood. Emerson goes on to talk more about mimicry, about trying to be like someone else. And he says that, you're trying to fit in with a crowd, you're trying to be like everyone else. It explains nothing. It tells a man nothing about who you are. But your genuine action, when you act from your own heart, you're thinking only of yourself and not trying to be like someone else or to try and get what someone else has. He says that explains everything. Your genuine action, your authentic self. What I must do is all that concerns me, not what the people think. Do your work and I shall know you. Do your work and you shall reinforce yourself. Your genuine action will explain itself and will explain your other genuine actions. Your conformity explains nothing. The popular fable of the sot who was picked up dead drunk in the street, carried to the Duke's house, washed and dressed and laid in the Duke's bed, and, on his waking, treated with all obsequious ceremony like the Duke, and assured that he had been insane. That fable owes its popularity to the fact that it symbolizes so well the state of a man who is in the world of a sot, but now and then wakes up, exercises his reason, and finds himself a true prince. It is hard to read this stuff without sounding like a pompous ass because it's written in this old English. Another great quote from this book, guys. Insist on yourself, never imitate. And Emerson goes on to ask, who is the master that could have taught Shakespeare? That what you need doesn't come from someone else, that you don't need to be taught it, that you have it already. It's your hard work and it's you, your true self. Guys, I know every line I've given you today has not been written by Emerson himself, but there's a reason for that. It's really hard to read that kind of old school, old style of English without sounding like a real pompous ass. So I've brought you some of the more contemporary quotes that are included in my copy of the book. And I'm going to finish one from the acknowledgements. The people that published this book, Self Reliance, and my version of Do the Work, the book we will be looking at for next month. It says, Ralph Waldo Emerson may be long dead, but he's a role model for many of us. The idea that one can make a living doing work that resonates, spreading ideas that matter, is new again. And we're glad to highlight him as an example. This book is dedicated to anyone willing to step up and avoid the hobgoblins with relish. Now that's a line from, those are lines from the book. I think they're making cracks about the old style of language that Emerson used. But this section of the book is about us, guys, about anyone who would be watching this video. Some kind of online creator. I hate the term content creator, but if you are doing something creative, if you're following a passion online and you're putting things out there for the world to see, this is talking about you. The idea that one can make a living doing work that resonates, spreading ideas that matter, is new again. We're glad to highlight him as an example. Now, I'll never be a philosopher like Emerson, but if people get to see my stuff and people watching me play video games turns into my job someday, yeah, then that work would resonate and I'd be doing something I love. And I think that's the whole point of this, guys. I started reading these books because I want this to be my job. And I think that the books like this can help me get there. Now, admittedly, Self Reliance not the easiest read. The book for next month, I think, is. So in October, now I've already read it. You can tell. I'll reread it. It's Do the Work by Steven Pressfield. Now this gets more to the point. It is specifically about unleashing your creativity, getting everything that's in the way out of the way, and letting you make your best possible stuff. Do your best work. And that is what the book is that we will be reading next month. So guys, find a copy of Do the Work by Steven Pressfield. Read it, and get back to me. Start talking in the comments if you've read Self Reliance. I would love to hear the lines, the bits, the pieces that really inspired you. Hit me up with those, because I'm passionate about that book and about this one. These are ones that I think I'll read both of these once a year for the rest of my life. Alright geeks, I think that's going to do it for the debut episode of the book club, where I attempt to break down Ralph Waldo Emerson. I hope I don't sound like the pompous ass I think I do. And next month we will be talking about Do the Work. I would love you guys to go check out both books. Hit me up in the comments of this one talking about Self Reliance, and hit me up in the comments of the next one when it comes out talking about Do the Work. Geeks, I am UniteTheClans, and I will see all of y'all in the next episode of Book Club.